Namo Buddhaya, brother and sister. The first event will be chanting, followed by the review of the previous chapter, Satta Deva Manusanang. Then we'll go to our lesson proper, Buddho, followed by questions and answer session, and ended with Buddha Nusati meditation.
Namo Buddhaya, Sukhirantu, brothers and sisters. Today we will do, before we start, we'll do a daily reflection of cultivating good character as a practitioner. This one is being practiced in the Abhidhamma study group, AVMC Abhidhamma study group, and I find it very helpful. So I got permission from AVMC to use it for class. Okay, so as a Buddhist and as a practitioner, I must learn to develop good character, to remove obstacles that hinder my spiritual path. Then only then will I receive the best blessings. 1, integrity. Integrity means to be honest with myself and others. A person with integrity does not tolerate hypocrisy. He speaks only truth and does not flatter others for the sake of self-interest. 2, be teachable. Whenever advice and criticism is placed to me, I will learn to examine myself without getting angry or defending myself. When the teacher points out my shortcomings, I will not be stubborn and insistent on my own opinions. 3, be gentle. I will be gentle, soft, modest, and graceful in behavior, speech, and thoughts. I will treat all friends in the Dhamma equally. I will learn to develop loving kindness and compassion to others and not to be hard-headed. 4, be modest. I will not take pride in my birth, appearance, education, family lineage, knowledge, and spiritual achievements, for none of them is permanent. I will try to be humble and prudent at all times. 5, be respectful. I will always hold gratitude to my teachers, for they teach us selflessly. They practice the Buddha's teaching first and then guide us on the path to liberation. When I am with the teachers and the elderly, if they are sitting, I will stand high. I will be sitting at a lower position. If the teacher is standing and talking, I will stand and not sit comfortably in a chair or cross my legs. When I meet the teacher, I will put 2 palms on the chest and bow slightly, showing respect through modest behavior. I will always be respectful when serving the triple gem, be mindful of my action, words, and thoughts. When being with the teacher, I will not talk continuously and loudly, using excessive gestures or interrupt the teacher's words. I will not develop any delusion or arrogance because of my service to the triple gem. I will not be carried away and behave disrespectfully towards the teachers if I am in frequent contact and work closely with them. 6, have the courage to admit one's mistakes. If someone is kind and compassionate enough to point out my mistakes, I will apologize immediately and ask for forgiveness, instead of trying to find an excuse for myself. A person with strong ego and arrogance has much hindrance to make progress in their practice. Be grateful. I must keep in mind they have received great help from my parents, teachers, friends, the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. I will always have gratitude in my heart. 8. Be tolerant. I will learn to put myself in other people's shoes in order to see things from different perspectives. I will learn to tolerate, to forgive, and to accept. Lastly, don't criticize others lightly. I will learn to refrain from criticizing others, for this only feeds hatred and self-conceit in the mind. I know I am not perfect myself. When I see a person of virtue, I will emulate him. When I see a person of bad behavior, instead of criticizing, I will turn inwards and examine myself to see whether I have the same shortcoming. It's better to learn to criticize myself rather than to criticize others. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So I think this is good as a daily contemplation before we start the class. So it's important that we cultivate good character as a practitioner, okay, and not just learning the Dhamma blindly. Okay, yeah, chapter 7, we have a review, teacher of gods and men. Okay, anyone like to share? Well, like to share any review? Anyone? If not, Sister Sumitra, can we have next slide? Okay, so the last week, we learned that the Buddha is the one who teaches about the present life, the future lives, absolute truth, suffering, and the end of suffering, and other themes in order to guide humans, gods, and Brahmas. So you notice the absolute truth here, which in Pali is called Paramatta Satya. So where do we learn about absolute truth in Buddhism? It is in the Abhidhamma. So Abhidhamma is one of the teachings and is one of the basket, okay, in the Pali canon. Okay, we have the Vinaya, the Sutta, and the Abhidhamma. Okay, so the 3 baskets. Okay, the Tipitaka. And the Buddha taught us to understand dukkha and the end of suffering. So the Buddha is one with all-knowing mind, skillfully employs various meditation subjects. Hope we can recall the different type of meditation subjects, 40 in total, expounds the Dhamma and seeks appropriate one for each being and helps guide them towards enlightenment. So for us, Putujana, we have to try it out for yourselves, which meditation subject is suitable for us in the beginning. Next. A typical example is the enlightenment of Kisa Gotami, how the Buddha guide Kisa Gotami to overcome the grief of a dead infant, of a dead child, until she realized that death is inevitable, and she took refuge in the Triple Gem. And of course, Venerable Tissa Thera, who was very sick, and the Buddha, hands-on, washed up the sores in his body, okay, and gave a discourse to him. And the Buddha taught the brother monks that they have to take care among themselves, among brother monks, for that is part of the brotherhood in the Sangha. For who else to take care if not among themselves? So the Buddha came up with this phrase that he who serves the sick and the needy also serves me. And this is from this episode. Next. Okay, you like to share? Could we summarize Satta Deva, teacher of gods and men? What does the Buddha teaches us in summary? Yeah, shoot. Anyone like shoot? I already shot just now. Anyone? Just unmute yourself. Buddha's teaching of what? Come, let's participate. Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, yeah. The Buddha teaches us that the four foundation of mindfulness,
Okay.
and then to avoid evil, do good and purify the mind.
Yes.
And then also the Buddha taught us the Four Noble Truths.
Okay. Sadhu,
and
sadhu.
which includes the cessation of suffering through the path of Eight Noble Paths.
Okay, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Wow,
Thank you.
more detailed than the model answers. Very good, very good.
No, from you, Brother Lim. Learning from you.
Okay, right. So exactly here, to avoid doing no evil, performing good deeds, and purify one's mind. Yeah, and of course, the Buddha also taught us how to walk the path towards enlightenment, towards attaining nibbana. And it is the defilements that tie us, okay, the 10 factors that tie us to samsara, going round and round. Okay, so let us review the 10 factors that we have to overcome in order to finally reach our destination. Yeah, so the first factor, the 5 lower factors, you look at the shackles. Okay, so the first one is self-identity views, uncertainty, or some they put it as skeptical doubts, and grasping at precepts and practices, sensual desire, and evil. So for the first, Sotapanna or stream enterer is 3: self-identity views, uncertainty, and grasping at precepts and practices, or sometimes we call it rites and rituals. So these 3, once we overcome, we will attain Sotapanna. Okay, so here uncertainty is we have doubts in the triple gem, and the self-identity, we still believe in a permanent soul. And why grasping at precepts? Because we have the wrong view. Okay, so if you have the wrong view, okay, for example, the wrong view that that the precepts are commandments, okay, and by observing the precepts, we can gain enlightenment. That itself is a wrong view. Okay, because observing precepts is very important, but the precepts are not commandments. The precepts are training rules. So having the right view is very important in our practice. Okay, and also grasping at precepts, it can be any precepts, you know, okay, not necessarily the 5 precepts. So this one is actually referring to rites and rituals. So sometimes rites and rituals is just a very gray area. It all depends on how we look at it, from which perspective. Okay, if we do certain rituals with understanding, with the right purpose, then the ritual cease to be a ritual. Okay. And of course, at the next one will be Sagada Kami, once returner. Okay, where sensual desire and evil will be weakened. Okay, but it is only at Anagami there is the non-returner that it will be totally eradicated and uprooted. Okay, so the last one, the 5 higher factors, is our clinging to the what you call the fine material world and clinging to the formless world, and of course conceit, restlessness, and avijja, ignorance. So all these 5 will finally be eradicated when we attain Maggaphala Arahanthood. And this is found in Anguttara Nikaya 10 point something just now. Okay. In the book of 10. Okay, next. Okay, we start today's lesson. Chapter 8. Okay, just before we start today's lesson, just now we talked about the 6 charitas, still revision. Okay, we also learned that for certain charita means temperaments of beings. Okay, all of us have different temperament. And what kind of meditation subject do the Buddha recommend for different temperaments? Anyone like to share? Offhand? Still as a revision, fast. Okay. Just unmute yourself and shoot. Okay, I start with the first one. Okay, with a lustful temperament or charita, the Buddha, what you call, recommend the 9 stages of corpse decomposition, and also impurities of the 32 parts, okay, of the body lah. Okay, any other things? So there's lustful, yeah.
Brother Lim, the angry person is like with laughing kindness, Metta. Is it
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
But it's not just Metta, it's the 4 Brahma Vihara. So because
right.
Metta, continue with your Metta.
Pardon me?
Continue with the Metta.
Yeah, with the Metta, Karuna, compassion, right? And then sympathy, joy, mudita,
yes.
and equanimity.
Yes. So all the 4. Okay,
All the
for
4
the
Brahma
Hillsborough.
Vihara, right?
Yes, yes. So for how about the deluded ones? Anyone? I think it's good to know all this at our fingertips. Deluded ones? Anyone? A very neutral object, anapanasati. Okay?
Oh.
Yeah, a very neutral object. Okay, mindfulness of the breath, anapanasati. But how about those faithful ones? Those who are very faithful?
The Nusati, right? For the faithful one?
Yeah.
Is that like the Nusati, the Buddha Nusati, Dhamma Nusati, and Sangha Nusati, Brother Lim?
Yes, correct. And one more is generosity.
Oh, Chaga?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then
Okay,
there's one more, discursive or restless thoughts. We also use anapanasati. Okay, last one. How about for those with high IQ, intellectual ones?
I think it's a 4 elements meditation.
Yes, bingo. Okay, so for those who are more intelligent, we go into the 4 elements meditation. Okay, of Patavi, Apo, Tejo, and Vayu. Earth element, water element, fire element, and the wind element. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go on to today's chapter. Buddha. Yeah, next one. Next slide. So Buddha basically means the awakened one. The Pali root word Bud means to wake up. The Bodhisattva have fully awakened by directly realizing the Four Noble Truths and has become the Buddha. So this attribute of Buddha meaning that he has fully awakened. Okay, why awakened? Because he realized and discovered the Four Noble Truths. And that is why he is called the Buddha. Next. So the root cause of the cycle of rebirth is ignorance. So not knowing the Four Noble Truths or doing wrongly denotes wrong view. So the Four Noble Truths. Anyone like to share the first Noble Truth?
This is suffering,
Yeah.
the origin of suffering.
Yes. So the first Noble
Yes.
Truth of suffering. Okay.
Yeah,
So we have to understand that the first Noble Truth of suffering must be fully understood.
understood.
Okay. We got really to understand. Actually, we also got to experience it. Yeah. And truly understand the first Noble Truth of suffering, not just in theory. Okay. So we got to fully understand what dukkha is, right? Which we will go into details later. And the second Noble Truth is the origin of suffering. Okay, and what must we do? We must abandon the origin of suffering, which is tanha. Anyone like to try the third one?
Cessation of suffering.
Yes, bingo. Thank you, sister. Okay, the
But
third Noble Truth of the
realize.
sensation of suffering, it must be realized. Okay, you must realize Nibbana. And of course, the last one.
Path leading to the cessation of suffering.
Yeah, thank
Eight
you.
noble path.
Yes, the Four Noble Truths, the path leading to the sensation of suffering. And it must be developed, meaning it must be practiced. Okay, all right. The Noble Eightfold Path must be practiced by us in order to attain ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Okay, and as we develop and walk the Noble Eightfold Path, we got to abandon tanha and understand dukkha. Okay, next one. Okay, so to understand what dukkha is, the Noble Truth of suffering, which is found in the Dikha Nikaya 22, Sutta number 22, Maha Satipatthana Sutta. So anyone like to try the definition of dukkha found in this sutta? Just should anyone?
Birth,
Yes.
aging.
Okay, wait one by one. Okay, sister Connie, give chance to others.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so first one is birth. Birth is dukkha. Aging is dukkha. Next one. No need to be in sequence. You can shoot anyone.
Death.
Yeah.
Death.
Yes. Grief, lamentation, pain, sorrow, despair, death. Yes. Any more?
5 aggregates.
5 aggregates is the summary.
Clinging.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Association is the dislike.
Yes. Association with the dislike. Correct.
Separation from like.
Last one.
not getting what one's long for.
Correct. Okay. So this is what dukkha is. Okay. This is what suffering is. Okay. Right. So understand this. And in summary, it is the 5 aggregates of clinging. Okay. That will bring around, that causes dukkha. So what is the 5 aggregate of clinging? So actually as putujana, okay, as putujana, we will misunderstand the 5 aggregates of clinging to be mine. Okay, this body to be mine, which corresponds to the defilement of craving or tanha. Okay, and I, which corresponds to conceit, I, and myself, which corresponds to wrong view. So in actual fact, there is no control. The 5 aggregates, which is in short, the Dhamma Rupa, the mind and the body, it has no control of its own. Okay, and the 3 characteristics of the 5 aggregates is anicca, dukkha, and anatta, which is found in Majjhima Nikaya 28. So when the 5 aggregates change due to arising and ceasing, immediately sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair will arise. Therefore, the 5 aggregates of clinging are the noble truth of suffering, and it must be fully understood as found in Samyutta Nikaya, Sutta number 56.11. So the 5 aggregates is the rupa, form, and then nama, mentality. We got vedana, feeling, sanya, perception, sankhara, mental formation, and vijnana, consciousness. So these 5 are mutually dependent, okay, supporting each other. That causes the illusion of self to arise in us, which leads to wrong view of self-identification, or what we call Sakkaya Ditthi, or personality view. So this is the first factors that we got to overcome in order to get our insurance. Okay, in order to become a Sotapanna in this life. So we cling to the 5 aggregates as mine, I, myself. Okay, I is conceit, myself is wrong view, and mine is craving, because this is mine. So you crave for things. Okay, and of course, the 11 bases of the 5 aggregates. The 11 bases of the 5 aggregates, we talk about time, past, present, and future. We talk about space, internal, external, inferior, superior, gross and subtle, far and near. Maybe I try to explain a little bit on this, because I think most of us do not understand, we will not truly understand what do you mean by the 11 bases of the 5 aggregates. Okay, the Buddha, there's a monk that asked the Buddha, what is the meaning of aggregate? The Buddha answered, monk, any form, whether it's Vedana, Rupa, Sanya, or any one of them, past, future, or present, whether internal, external, gross, or subtle, inferior, or superior, okay, far or near, this is called the aggregate, okay, of form, or whether it's the aggregate of perception, or whether it is the aggregate of mental formation. Very often, the word aggregate does not mean a heap or a pile of things. In fact, most of us feel that way. Aggregate means it's a collection, it's a pile of things. But here, actually, the word aggregate means the existence of something. Okay? The existence of something. And that existence is within two aspects. There is time and space. So this is the extent of the 5 aggregates, past, present, future, which is the time dimension. And of course, okay, the other 8, which actually is the space dimension. Therefore, this is called the 5 aggregates. Okay, so does it help? Because the 5 aggregates can only exist within time and space. Okay, and if in Buddhism, I don't know whether you realize this or not, time and space are concepts. They are not absolute truth. Okay, they are only concepts. Okay, because the flow of the past into the present, into the future is only a concept. Okay, first day of Chinese New Year, it is only a concept. It is not a reality. Every day can be a new year. Okay, right? Space, what is space? It's only a concept. If there is no boundary, you know, there's no square box or whether it's round, whatever shape, okay, how do you define space? It's only a concept created by the mind. And the Buddha explained the existence of the 5 aggregates only can exist in these 2 dimensions. There is time and space. And if these 2 are concepts, what do you think are the 5 aggregates? It's not reality. There is no self. Okay, we cannot control. There's no self. Okay, but why we feel it so real? Because it support each other, and because of the 11 bases, it becomes so real. That's why many of us find it very difficult to accept the fact that there is no self. Okay, because if there is a self, then we can control. Okay, for example, feeling angry or whatever feelings. Can we control? It cannot. Including our perception, we cannot control. Mental formations, we cannot control. What consciousness arises, okay, when the internal organs, meet with the external object, then the consciousness arises. Can we control? We cannot. All these are all vipakas, okay, resultant of our karma. Okay, so it's beyond our control. If we can control this body, frankly speaking, I do not want to get old. I'm getting old now. The body pain, knee pain, back pain. Okay, can I wish it to go off? I can't. I don't want to get old, but I cannot. I don't want to die, but I cannot. One day I will still die. So there is no self. If there is a self, this is the body. I should be able to control it, isn't it? But everything are causes and conditions that arises. With this condition, give rise, okay? And with causes, give rise to condition. Okay, so if we can get the way we experience time as flowing from past to present and future is really an illusion. It is an illusion. So if we can get liberation from time and space, is actually Nibbana. Okay, and if you understand about science, in science theory of relativity, Even Einstein defined time as theory of relativity. Okay, if you are in a hot oven for 1 minute, you think it is 1 hour. But if you are with your spouse, okay, for 1 hour, you think it's only a minute. So time is relative. It's only a concept. It's an illusion. So I would like to bring you to the book. Then you will understand better. Turn to page 135, sorry. At least I go through a few. The 5 aggregates of clinging. We cling to the 5 aggregates of material form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness as mine, I, or myself, by way of craving, conceit, and wrong view. These 5 aggregates are the objects of clinging. They call it the 5 aggregates of clinging. Whether it is past, present, or future, internal or external, blatant or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, any material whatsoever is the material aggregate. Any feeling is the feeling aggregate. Any perception is the perception aggregate. Any formation is the formation aggregate. Any consciousness is the consciousness aggregate. That is how the Buddha defined the aggregates, the nama rupa. Okay, that the aggregates only exist with respect to time and space. It is actually a delusion. It's only a concept. So, and the Buddha, what the Buddha did, he gave the simile of the 5 aggregates. Okay, so it started with material. Of course, material, the rupa, we have the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and air, and the 24 derived matter. Okay, and the Buddha compares rupa to foam, which indicates that it's empty, is void, and without essence, without substance. You know foam, where you know the soap, you form the foam, right? So he says, Bhikkhu, suppose that the river Ganges was carrying along a great lump of foam. A man with good sight will inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it. It will appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. For what substance could there be in a lump of foam? So too, bhikkhus, whatever kind of rupa there is, whether past, future, or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a bhikkhu inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and it will appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. So for what substance could there be in rupa? Samyutta Nikaya 22.95. So the same thing is being repeated again and again for the other 4 aggregates. Okay, so for the feeling aggregate, the Buddha relates it that there are 6 kinds of feeling. The feeling that occurs when the eye faculty contacts color, feeling that occurs when the ear faculty contacts sound, the feeling, okay, that occurs when the nose faculty contacts odor, the feeling that occurs when the tongue faculty contacts taste, the feeling that occurs when the body contacts tactile objects, and the feeling that occurs when the mind contacts mental objects. So when the 6 sense faculties contact the 6 objects, based on this unpleasant, pleasant, and neutral objects, unpleasant, pleasant, and neutral feeling occurs. So when a pleasant feeling occurs, we are so happy, we want more, attachment arises. And with these pleasant feelings, we grasp, to which we grasp and attach, disappear, we feel to which we crave for more. And when this feeling disappears, we feel miserable, depressed, disappointed, and pleasant feeling then takes over. And if there is neutral objects, neutral feeling arises. And because of ignorance, we may think that there is no feeling at all. So neutral feeling is actually not, is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So to us, we may feel that there is no feeling, isn't it? Neutral. But because of ignorance, we may think there is no feeling. Neutral feeling is a form of feeling. Okay, so whatever feelings arise, they all arise dependent on causes and condition. And they arise and cease, changing from pleasant feeling to unpleasant, from unpleasant to pleasant. This is the nature of conditioned phenomena. The Buddha said, whatever is felt is included in suffering. Samyutta Nikaya 36.11, because of anicca. So the Buddha compared feeling to what? A water bubble. Because it's fragile, and the moment it arises, it immediately ceases. It is empty.
So, Brother Rip.
Yes.
So, neutral feeling, is it actually like for Putujana? Is it really upeka, or is it actually a delusion?
Here we are not talking about upeka. We are talking about neutral feeling. Actually, there's 5 types of neutral feeling, upeka. The word upeka is used throughout. So if we go into detail, there are different types of upeka. Here we are talking about upeka as a feeling. Okay. The other upeka is not feeling, you know. It's under one of the mental factors. It's under Sankara. You're talking about the upeka under the Brahma Vihara, right?
It's different, right?
The upeka under the Brahma Vihara is under Sankara, under volition, mental formation. It's a state of mind. Yeah. So this one is not a state of mind. This is feeling, sensation.
Maybe sister, I can help to explain a bit now.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes in Vipassana meditation, we normally have extremes. And in other words, you have pleasant, you know it's pleasant. And you have unpleasant, you know it's unpleasant. Huh? So if let's say you feel a neutral feeling, all right, you feel it's neutral because at that first point of contact, you feel there's, hey, I don't feel happy leh, and I don't feel sad leh, right? But if let's say, for instance, if you are in that state of meditation, if you delve further, all right, that means, in other words, explain the feeling of neutrality is actually ignorance. That means you are at a particular state where you don't know where you are. So it doesn't mean that, I mean, if you go into very intellectual, then you talk about upeka. But a lot of times, I think upeka is like, it is insight, you know, you go in, you know it's upeka. But in this sense, this neutral feeling is very superficial. You just do not know which side you're on. So, but if let's say, for instance, you were to go in a bit deeper, you realize there is a feeling one, you know, it's still, no matter how light, it's good and bad. There is a feeling you either like or you don't dislike one. But then, of course, in this sense, you have to go a bit deeper to sort of feel it, you know. Again, we talk about feeling. And then, of course, again, if you talk about, okay, we come back to the word dukkha. a lot of times, because we are all practitioners as well, dukkha, a lot of time we think of it as suffering, extreme, you know, but actually it's very subtle. Even this little discomfort you feel like you don't feel so good, you know. That's why you see there's a difference between anger and aversion. Anger is very extreme, straight away you know. Aversion, you don't know. Aversion is just some dislike, something poking at you, you know. It's a poke, it's a feeling, you know. So if you look at, say, for instance, in this case about neutral feeling, if it is, there is also a slight poke somewhere, and you realize that actually it is still got pleasant or no pleasant one. So it's actually not totally neutral. But why they say ignorance is because at that point in time, we cannot tell the difference. I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so
Thank you.
thank you very much, Sister Yvonne. So the next one is the Sanya Kanda, the perception aggregate. Okay, so function of perception is to mark the object, a memory. So 6 kinds of perception: perception of form, sound, color, taste, touch, and mental objects due to past experiences. And we are frequently fooled by perception. Okay, so which fooled by perception, which often perceives the impermanent as permanent, the unpleasant as pleasant, and then impure as pure. So such distorted perception, or sanya vipallasa, is caused by ignorance, not seeing things as they really are. It's page 139. So it gave a simile of a scarecrow to scare the deer away from the farm. So the deer, when it comes to the farm, because of his past experience looking at a hunter, the minute it sees the scarecrow, it will mistake the scarecrow as a real hunter and runs away in panic. So that is delusion. That is vipallasa. So the Buddha compared this perception aggregate to a mirage, because it tricks you. It's empty, it's void, without essence. Okay. And the next one, the Sankara Kanda. If you learn Abhidhamma, there are 52 mental factors, Citasika, but under the mental formation, there's only 50, because 2 of them has been taken out. That is Sanya and Vedana. Okay, so the Buddha compared, because there are 50 types of mental factors, okay, under Sankara. So the Buddha compared this mental formation to the trunk of a platen tree, a banana tree. Okay, so you want to look for hard wood. You go and cut down the banana tree. You cannot find any wood there. But you find layers and layers and peel, or a lot of peeling. So each peeling represents each mental state. So in the end, what do you find? There's nothing there. It's hollow, it's void, and without essence. Okay, so that is the simile of the Sankara Kanda used by the Buddha. The last one is the Vinaya Kanda, the consciousness aggregate, which is described as being aware of knowing the object. It means knows the object. People often identify this knowing of an object, this consciousness, as a self. They consider this function of consciousness, this awareness of an object, as who they are. So we identify this consciousness as a self, okay, as a permanent self. So 6 types of consciousness: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Okay, and what do we believe? We believe that all these 6 are immortal, permanent, constant, nicca. Okay. I think there's a question here by Brother Yao. Is the pure awareness in samadhi considered mind consciousness? Okay. Pure awareness. What do you mean by pure awareness? If you talk about being bare awareness, like just being aware of the object, then we are talking about consciousness aggregate. It is consciousness. Okay? But if we are talking about sati, then it is a mental factor. Because the mind you make out of two. One is consciousness and the other is mental factors. The analogy the Buddha used is a glass of water. That is the mind. And then you add in coloring. That is the mental factors. The two aspects of consciousness here. So which are you referring to? Okay. So there was this story, not story lah, this Venerable Sati that actually says that the Buddha asked him, what is meant by consciousness? Okay, which is relevant to the brother's question now. Venerable Sir, it is that which speaks, that which feels, that which experience here and there, the result of good and bad actions. That's what Venerable Sati answered the Buddha. Okay, right? So the Buddha reprimanded him. Misguided man, to whom have you ever known me to teach the Dhamma in that way? Misguided man, have I not stated in many ways consciousness to be dependently a reason, since without a condition, there is no origination of consciousness. Okay, so you can see that the answer Sati gave to the Buddha, he identified the body that speaks, that feels, that experiences as consciousness. So that is the wrong view of a permanent soul. Okay? So everything is causes and condition. And the Buddha compared the consciousness aggregate to a magician. Okay, so a magician by means of magic tricks create various kinds of illusion to deceive spectators. So in the same way, we are fooled by consciousness, considering the consciousness that sees and hears to be the same self that wanders through the cycle of samsara. Okay. So turn to page 146. 146. So to disentangle this net of identity view, the Buddha urged practitioners to regard the five aggregates. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. So this is a very good contemplation. Because they are inconstant, anicca, is suffering, dukkha, and subject to change, anicca. Okay, so all the aggregates is impermanent, dukkha. Inconstant is viparinama. Okay, so the noble truth of suffering should be fully understood. Samyutta Nikaya 56.1. Any questions so far? We only touched the first noble truth only. So we have not got the other three noble truths, only first noble truth. Because the first noble truth is very important. It is the very first step, the very fundamentals to understand what dukkha is. Okay, in fact, if you really understand what dukkha is, what is dukkha? The understanding of dukkha, it will lead to the understanding of non-self, which is a very big leap already. Okay, you go very far ahead already in your practice and in your meditation. So you have to get the insight of anatta in your meditative practice and really experience that this body is non-self. We cannot control it. Even our breathing also we cannot control. Okay, everything is nature. It's all nature. Okay, birth is nature, death is nature. We cannot control. If we can control, I don't want to die. I don't know how many more years I have left, but I cannot control. I know one day I will die. I know one day this body will decompose itself. The mind and the body have to separate. And I know that the mind, that whatever, where am I going to land up in future lives will depend on my karmic energy. That is right view. Any questions? If not, we go on to the next slide, please. Is there any slide? Yeah, the noble truth of the origin of suffering. So now we go to second one. Okay, so in the noble truth of suffering is tanha, craving. So basically, there are three types of craving. Kama tanha, craving for sensual pleasures, agreeable, pleasant, okay, for form, sound, smell, taste, touch, mental objects. Next one, bhava tanha, craving for becoming. All of us get to die. We feel that we will live forever. Okay, we feel that we can reborn and we are the same person. Actually, we are not the same person, and we are also the same person. So it's more complex than that. Okay, but there is no eternity. Okay, and next one, vibhava tanha, craving for non-becoming, to not exist, correspond to the wrong view of nihilism, no effect of karma. Now you notice that even craving for non-becoming is also a form of craving. By right, if we do not want to crave to be reborn again, isn't that nibbana? No more rebirth. It's no more rebirth, isn't it? That's nibbana. But how come there is still a form of craving that ties us? It is considered a factor. Why? Basically because of wrong view. Okay, the non-becoming here is based, okay, on wrong view. Okay, wrong view meaning that nihilism, the wrong view that, you know, when you die, everything dies. That's the end of it. Okay, there's no rebirth. Do not believe in the law of karma. So people with this kind of ideology, okay, they will do whatever they want to do. They will do evil things in the world because they don't believe in the law of karma. I will enjoy this life. This is the only life left. After this life die, there's no more life. We do not exist anymore. So people with this kind of ideology, okay, he does not believe in the law of karma. So he has no fear. There's no hiriti, no hiri and otapa. No fear of what you call? No fear of shame. There's no fear and there's no shame. Next. The noble truth of the sensation of suffering. Okay, so suffering can only end when we abandon tanha. So it must be realized. So little pockets of enlightenment is our day-to-day life, that we abandon our craving. Be aware of the craving and aversion that arises in us day in, day out. Okay, and understand that these are all causes and condition. Okay, and this is nature. So what must we do? Do we react on the resultants? No. We must focus on the present causes. Okay, that means we do not respond to it. We try to understand why these defilements arise, to get insight on the how this defilement arises, and do not feed the defilements so that it will starve by itself. Okay, it will rise, it will cease. That is the nature. Okay, the moment we follow the story, that's where we are guided by moha, delusion. So you look at the cat, how do we end? So the answer is there to the next fourth noble truth, walking the noble eightfold path. So you all like to share what is the noble eightfold path? Should anyone?
Right view,
Right view. Sister.
Right intention,
Yeah. Right view, right intention,
right speech,
right speech,
right action,
right action,
right livelihood,
right livelihood,
right effort,
right effort.
right mindfulness.
Sister Sumitra, the slides. Yep. Okay. The training that leads to the abandonment of greed, hatred, and delusion. Okay, the eightfold path. So in the Visuddhi Magga, or the path of purification, okay, they categorize the eightfold path into three groups: under Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Under Sila is right speech, right action, right livelihood. And under Samadhi is right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And Panya, right view, and right intention, or right thoughts. And how do we practice? Under Sila, by observing our precepts, 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts. And how do we practice Samadhi? Samatha meditation, dwelling in the jhanas. And how do we practice Panya? Understanding of the Four Noble Truths. How? Discerning anicca, dukkha, anatta in all mental and bodily phenomena via vipassana bhavana. Next. Okay, discussion, chapter 8. I think I'm okay now. I'm finishing already. Okay, before we go to the discussion, okay, I want you to turn to page 155. Turn to page 155. Or page 154. The Noble Eightfold Path is also called the middle way because it avoids two extremes: indulgence in sensual pleasures. This is low, vulgar, the way of ordinary people, putujana, unprofitable, and harmful. Is in Samyutta Nikaya 56.11. The Bodhisattva lived his royal, luxurious life for 28 years, but deep in his heart, he felt spiritual poverty. He understood that it was not the true path to liberation, but leads to mental degeneration and more lust. So this is, we have to reflect on this. So even how luxurious our life is, do we feel this spiritual poverty in us? Or do we have the wrong view that this is the path to liberation? Or do we feel that this is not the true path, but leads to degeneration of our mental faculties and more lust? Self-mortification, painful, ignoble, and unprofitable. But the Bodhisattva himself practiced 6 painful years of self-mortification, thinking he could be liberated by it. After 6 years of painful struggling, he gained no insight. So he finally realized such practice causes pain and weakens your health. So you can see that even self-mortification is being practiced right here, today and now. Okay, you see whether the Chinese and the Hindus, you know, they during Thaipusam they carry kavadi. It's a form of self-mortification. It's a penance. Okay, right? They make a vow, their vow being fulfilled, then they will come back and they make a promise and they will carry the kavadi to honor the deity who fulfill their wish. It's a form of self-mortification. And a lot of ascetics, especially in India, is still believe in self-mortification. Okay, so avoiding these two extremes, the Buddha walked the middle path to feel full development. So the Buddha said, what should be developed, I have to develop. So the Buddha is called the Buddha because it's awakened to the Four Noble Truths. And he said to this Brahmin called Sila, what must be known is directly known. What must be developed has been developed. What must be abundant has been abundant. Therefore, Brahmin, I am a Buddha. So how wonderful on our dying bed we could echo this. What must be known is already known by us. What must be developed, we have already developed. And what is to be abundant, we have abundant. Therefore, there's no more rebirth for us. That is enlightenment, you know. So memorize this at our dying bed. Hopefully, we can echo this. But echoing is one thing. Is it the truth or not? So we have to start practicing now. Okay, so he says, rare is the rising of the Buddha in this world. Okay, and the most admirable point is that not only did the Buddha comprehend the Four Noble Truths for himself, but he was also able to expound them so that all of us could benefit, wake up from our sleep of ignorance, and reach the sensation of dukkha. Okay, Pachika Buddhas or silent Buddhas, they also awaken to the Four Noble Truths, but they are not able to proclaim this teaching. Why? Because they are not able to help others. They are not able to teach us and guide us in the Four Noble Truths. So to become a Sammasam Buddha, it takes a Bodhisattva a minimum of 4 incalculable yawns and 100,000 great yawns to accomplish the 10th perfection. So let us not forget that we still got our 10 perfections. Okay, So hundreds of Pacceka Buddhas may appear in the same period, but there will never be two Buddhas at the same time. It is therefore very precious and extraordinary for a Buddha to appear in the world. Dhammapada 182. It is difficult to be born a human. Difficult is the life of mortals like us. It's difficult to hear the true Dhamma. Difficult is the rising of Buddhas. So the first messenger of truth, Dhammadutta, 2 months after the Buddha's enlightenment, 60 disciples from distinguished families attained arahanthood. And out of compassion for many, the Buddha decided to send them as messenger of truth, Dhammadutta, to propagate the Dhamma. Before dispatching them in various directions, he exhorted them as follows. Freed am I, O bhikkhus, from all bonds, whether divine or human. You too, O bhikkhus, are freed from all bonds, whether divine or human. Go forth, O bhikkhus, for the good of the many, for the happiness of the many, out of compassion for the world, for the good, benefit, and happiness of gods and men. Let not two go by one way. Preach, O bhikkhus, the Dhamma, excellent in the beginning, excellent in the middle, excellent in the end, both in the spirit and in the letter. Bhikkhus, proclaim the holy life, altogether perfect and pure, because they are beings with little dust in their eyes, who not hearing the Dhamma will fall away. There will be those who can understand the Dhamma. I too, O bhikkhus, will wander elsewhere to preach the Dhamma. The Buddha and his disciples, with no permanent abode, alone, penniless, with only robes and alms bowl, like the bird only carries its wings, wandered from place to place and bring hope to mankind. So the Dhammadutta, the first messages of truth, the first 60 arahants to proclaim the holy life. Now in the scriptures, they also use the term Dhammadutta, messages of truth. And this messenger of truth does not refer to arahant. This messenger of truth refers to nature. When our teeth starts to fall, when our hair start becoming gray and white, when our legs becomes weak. These are the signs. These are called Dhammadutta, messages of truth, because it signifies that time is running out. Wake up, my friend. Have the spiritual urgency or some vigor to practice before the time is up, before the game is over. Okay, so Dhammadutta, it means the nature. Okay, when the hair start to, you see, if you start seeing white hair, your teeth start falling out, all these signs of aging and sickness, high time to practice. That is the messenger of truth. And of course, to the 60 arahants. Okay, next discussion. How did the Buddha achieve his enlightenment? Anyone like to share? Yeah, how did the Buddha achieve his enlightenment? Come.
The awakened in his own effort by directly realizing the truth.
Yes, bingo. That is actual. Yeah, correct. Very good. Very good answers, sister. Perfect. So how did the Buddha achieve his enlightenment? Through his very own effort. No one else. Sama Sambuddha. Through his own effort. Directly realizing the Four Noble Truths. In the Buddha's enlightenment, what was his discovery? This is very simple. Anyone? So simple. Unless you want to explain, then it will go longer.
Is it the
Four
Four Noble
Truths.
Truths?
Yes. Okay, in the Buddha's enlightenment, is discovered the Four Noble Truths. And why the attribute of Buddha, okay, meaning the Buddha means the awakened one, awakened to the Four Noble Truths. Yeah. So when we chant Buddha, 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 it means awaken to the Four Noble Truths. We got to contemplate on the Four Noble Truths. Okay, next. What is the use of the Four Noble Truths to us? That's interesting. Yeah.
You're talking about daily life, right?
Not yet. Here is not. There's another one is application to daily life, but this one is how do you use the noble truth lah? how is it relevant to us? What is the message of the Four Noble Truths?
Understanding that there's suffering, there's always causes of suffering,
Yes.
and then there's a need to cease the suffering.
Yes.
And of course, finally, the way that will lead us to the ceasing of this suffering.
Yes. Thank you, Sister Bingo. Okay. What needed to be known is known by us. What need to be abandoned, we must abandon it.
You have been muted, Brother Lim. Brother Lim, please unmute.
Brother Lee, please unmute.
Brother Lim, you are muted.
Sorry, I accidentally muted you. Sorry.
So, okay. So I repeat, what needs to be known must be known by us. Okay. What needs to be abandoned, we must abandon it. What must be realized, we must realize it. Okay. What we must do and develop, we have to walk, do, and develop. In other words, do not just memorize and understand the Four Noble Truths as it is. Okay, we got to understand dukkha, we got to abandon tanha, we got to realize enlightenment, and we got to walk the path towards enlightenment. Okay, so that is the use of the Four Noble Truths. Next, thank you, Sister Yvonne. Okay, next, now how can we apply the Four Noble Truths in our daily life? Yeah, any sharing?
Can I share?
Yes, go ahead.
In daily life, try to follow, understand the Four Noble Truths to cut off our craving, less desire, more contented in life.
Yes.
And stay calm.
Yes.
To walk the Eightfold Path.
Yes. 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 Very good, sister. Very good. Anyone else want to share?
For me, I think very important is the practice of the 5 precepts, because those are the very basis of following the Four Noble Truths. I think many people go into Dhamma learning, many people go into, I still say the same thing. I think most important is to start with the basic 5 precepts. If any day we are able to fulfill or feel or reflect at the end of the day that we have truthfully abided by the 5 precepts, then we know, eventually that will lead us to the understanding deeper of Four Noble Truths. Because just following the 5 precepts is a very, very difficult thing, especially for working people like us.
Okay, but 5 precepts alone by itself cannot lead us to enlightenment. I just take note. It is,
but at least it's the basis for lay people like us, you see.
Yes, it is the
it's a
basis.
very good basis to start.
It's not only a basis for lay people, it's basis for everyone, including the monastic. Even there are 227 precepts are also what you call strongly rooted on the 5 precepts as well. Okay, but the sila is a fundamental. Yeah, that's the starting point. Okay, because without sila, there's no point to meditate.
Can I share what I understand?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
It's actually to recognize problem, to understand and look into what the reason cause.
Yeah.
Problem, goal setting, to
Yeah.
end the birth, death cycle, and
Yeah.
how to achieve the goal.
Yes. Yes.
This is from my understanding. Is it right?
Yes. You're right. You're right. Don't worry. Everyone is right. There's no right or wrong here. Anyone else want to share?
Well, Brother Lim, if I may
Yes,
turn,
Brother Prajit.
and when we say of the Four Noble Truths,
Yes.
in my personal life,
Yes.
I apply the law of impermanence
Yes.
and the law of non-self.
Yes.
This automatically gets rid of the dukkha, because when there is no I, you are not affected.
Yes.
And when you apply the law of impermanence, you know that this too will pass. No
Yes.
matter if somebody leaves you in life, you lose in business, you lose a job, you lose a loved one. You know
Yes.
that this is impermanent. There is no point grieving over somebody's death, because you yourself are on a clock.
Yeah.
You also will go. You also are impermanent. When you are impermanent and you can do nothing about it, you can do nothing about anything actually.
Yeah.
So that keeps me level-headed.
Yeah.
It keeps me relaxed, saying that it's phenomena is happening, the process is happening. I'm just watching. That's it. There's no involvement.
Thank you, Sister Prajit. Brother Prajit.
Thank you.
Okay. Anicca and dukkha is easier to see it. Because it's more obvious, it's more gross. But anatta is very subtle. Okay, not it's very difficult to see non-self. Okay, and Buddhism is the only religion that does not believe in a permanent soul. Okay, when I first got into Buddhism, it's difficult to understand why no soul. No soul, then who are we? Who am I? Okay, then slowly, layers and layers, and then you slowly understand. But understanding non-self and going deeply to get insights about non-self is a very big step towards our daily practice, because self-identity is one of the factors that we have to uproot to attain Sotapanna. And the minimum we have to do now is to aim to be a Sotapanna, whatever it is. Okay, even at our dying bed. Okay, do you know that the Tibetan Buddhism likes to talk about death and dying? Tibetans, yeah, Buddhists, they talk about death and dying. Like for us, especially Chinese, death and dying is a taboo subject to talk on and discuss. But for Tibetans, it's a very common topic. Okay, and in Tibetan Buddhism, they use the dying process to get enlightened. Okay, but I'm not asking you because they have a different understanding and different teaching, but they actually use the dying process to get enlightened. Okay, and the Tibetan Book of the Death, okay, they describe the dying process in very, very minute details, and it's one of the greatest literature. Okay, the Book of Death, or what they call Book of Dying, by Tibetan Buddhism. Whether believe it or not is another thing, okay, but because that is the last resort already. If we don't practice during our life, what else can we do? The only thing is at the dying moment, do what you cannot. let go, but you don't want to let go, so no choice. Okay, next, how can we apply the Noble Truths in our daily life? Slide, please. Yes. Yeah. So application of Four Noble Truths as a framework in our daily life practice. Recognize that there is a problem and then pinpoint the problem. First, the recognizing is very important. If you recognize there is no problem, we cannot pinpoint the problem. Okay, because most of us have very strong views. Okay, and we always feel that we are right, others are wrong. So as long as we feel we are right, others are wrong, we do not recognize that there is a problem. Okay, so the starting point is the recognition the realization that there is a problem. And then we try to pinpoint the problem. Next. Then we look into the root cause of the problem or the reason for the problem. Now, normally in problems in Buddhism, we have many causes. Okay, there are many causes, not one cause. Okay, but of the many causes, it is not necessary to know all the causes. Okay, we got to pinpoint the root cause. In Buddhism, we always talk about root cause. Root, the source of the problem, the root cause. Just like the root cause of dukkha is tanha. Okay, so we have to look into the root cause. It means we got to look into the starting point, and we have to brainstorm for the solution, and we got to set our goals towards solving the problem. Next. And then we got to come up with a plan and monitor the progress. So this is how we apply the Four Noble Truths as a framework in our daily life. Okay, even in our daily work also we can use it. Okay, so at least we realize that this is we are applying the Four Noble Truths as a framework in our lives. Next. Okay, question and answer. Q&A time.
Actually, Brother Lin, actually it's not a question.
Yes.
When we are talking about dying,
yes,
somebody told me, a professor of Buddhist studies told in a class that if you talk more about that, you get less fear of death.
Yeah.
Because death is nothing but it's the door and the room on the other side.
Yes.
So if you're going to glorify death as something dangerous, and as you learned as children, death is something, it's nothing. It is just a door you're opening and going to the other side. The body gets another body. That's all. There's nothing else. This rupa becomes some other rupa. That's it. So basically, death is not to be feared. Death is to be contemplated. Yes, they say Buddhism is I mean, very, how do you put it? People get a little sad because Buddhism always talks about death. But yes, you're right, the Tibetan Book of the Death. Actually, it's a very easy process. And when you contemplate on death, you live a better life, actually.
Yeah.
When you know that you are limited, your clock is ticking and your time on this place is limited. That is when you start living a better life. That is why you find mostly elderly people doing a lot of dana, charity, helping more people, not harming people, doing no evil and trying to do good. So this I wanted to share with you. The last week, somebody was telling about if you speak and discuss more about that, you will not be afraid of that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yao Chan, in deep absorption such as jhana, our mind consciousness and sati both present. When you are deep in jhana, the jhana factors are present. The jhana factors are present. In fact, if you really go into jhana, sati may not even be present. I may be wrong, but the jhana factors are there. Okay, the 5 jhana factors. Okay, and like what Brother Pranjit was sharing, okay, many of us fear death because of the unknown. We do not know where we are going. We are so uncertain. We are scared of the unknown. But as Buddhists, if we have been a practitioner, if we have been walking the path, if we have confidence in the Triple Gem, what is there to fear? We should be looking forward towards our last day. Isn't it? It's like going for a holiday, isn't it? A vacation. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I'm going to Europe. First time I'm leaving the country. First time I'm going around the world. I'm going for a cruise around the world. We cannot even eat and sleep. We are so excited. We are so happy, looking forward towards that day. So in the same way, okay, if we have done what needs to be done, we should look forward to our new rebirth. Look forward to our new destination. Okay. And of course, if we have not, we have been a bad person, then we are a bit worried. Other than that, we should look forward to our death based on our karma. Okay, any other sharing? Either sharing or questions or anything. Right, Prajit, Brother Prajit, we should look forward, going for vacation.
You know, Brother Lim,
Yeah.
it's very right that you talk about causes and condition, very
Yeah.
right time.
Uh-huh.
I just like to share yesterday about
Yeah.
cause and condition really happened. Because yesterday, after I had run some errands, I went to this restaurant to eat. And I think this will hit many of us. It's just that the awareness, whether we are aware of such things happening to us day to day, and it's very liberating. I came out of the restaurant. First thing, I saw a lorry in front. It was a very lonely road because everybody is hiding at home. So the lorry was in front, and the first thought that shows that you see we have this racism, in our minds. Saw an Indian fella coming down, and then he was wandering around the street. Came out the lorry. So at the same time, I was crossing the road and I was holding on to my bag because the first impression. Sorry, this is not meant to be in any way, Brother Prajit. I'm just stating that what went through this experience, all right? Because we do have a lot of what do you call it? A lot of foreigners, illegal foreigners who are here to sort of do bad things, all right? So and what happened was I noticed that I had this fear. I grasped my bag, I crossed the road. And then after the next moment, when I was getting to my car, the other driver got down and came towards me. So you see that little bit of fear already was there. And suddenly the other guy from the other lorry came down and came towards me, And my first thought was resistance. Uh-oh, run away. All right. No reason whatsoever. Okay. And then what happened is that he came to me and he asked me for directions. Now, it's funny. My first reaction, which is our mind is actually very bad. The first thing is that, no, I do not know. I don't want to know. I just want to run away. Right? But then, of course, there's suddenly, then you realize, I don't know, maybe something at the back of the mind. Just look at it and see what it is. Now, before this whole scenario, before when I parked my car and got down, I looked at the names of the shops and I saw this word paws, P-A-W-S. Paws, actually, I was thinking of bringing my dog there to do grooming, all right? Because over Chinese New Year, we couldn't groom and he was very dirty, all right? So never mind. That one just went off. I did my errand. I came out. Then suddenly I realized when this guy presented to me the address, again, the resistance was still there. No, I don't know. Then he said, kuching, he told me, cat. It's a pet shop. Then I said, So it's funny. The thought went to another pet shop nearby. They say, cannot be, that's not the name. And then when I saw up there, right on top, P-A-W-S, straight away there's paws. And when I guided them, and they were so relieved, because I think these poor fellas must have been driving the lorry round and round, and there was nobody on the street. They couldn't get the direction. So the first thought that struck me, cause and condition. I mean, why do I come down and first away my thought identify where the pet shop is because of the condition of my dog, And next moment, this person came and he was wondering and he needed help. And then why is it that I happen to notice the shop, which I never do, and able to direct them there? But the other thought also told me, our first thought is always resistance. Our first thought is always negative, So causes and condition. Sadhu, Brother Lim. Thanks for bringing it up.
Sadhu.
Well, Sister Yvonne, the thing is, it's not your fault. Basically, we are conditioned this way to protect ourselves. These two guys are honest people. They were asking for an address. But what if they were looking for trouble? what if they wanted to steal your bag or do something worse, or maybe you do a pickpocket or chain snatching? It happens. So we are conditioned in society. We are conditioned that way. If you can imagine in Malaysia, if you're so worried, in India we're more worried because here crime rate is pretty high. So we are like worried, is this person genuine or not? That's fine. I mean, I feel it's fine. You have your guard up, and then you know that that person is okay, and then you probably try to help out if you can. That's fine. I mean, that's, to survive in this world, you need all skills. There is no place in this world where there is no police station or a jail. So clear, you have good people and bad people everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other last sharing, anyone? Thank you, Sister Yvonne. Thank you, Brother Prajit. Okay, if not, okay, next week will be our last class. Okay, and give us your feedback, and I hope you will come forward to volunteer as facilitators. Okay, and by the way, I'm also the chairperson for Metta Lodge, and I'm looking into a new category of membership for associate member. Okay, meaning that the members who reside outside the Johor state within Malaysia, you can apply to be a member and affiliate member. You don't have to be staying in Johor. And for those who reside outside Malaysia, you're welcome to join us, not as member, because in the constitution, non-Malaysians are not allowed to become members, but we welcome you as devotees. Even better, no subscription. Even better, exclusive rights. No subscription. Okay, because now it's a borderless world, isn't it? It's all online. Okay, so let's keep our Kayala meter of spiritual friendship together, and hopefully by the time we go for our holiday, what must be known is directly known. What must be abundant has been abundant. What must be realized has been realized. And what must be developed has been developed. Therefore, we are ready to go. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. See you next week. Please volunteer, come forward to volunteer as facilitators. Okay, most likely the next intake will be after Vesak Day, but you can also volunteer to facilitate 9 attributes of the Buddha for AVMC. Okay, and also for your respective Buddhist society or even in India. Okay, so please come forward and spread the Buddha Dhamma far and wide. And if you have benefited from this program, I think it's good to try to facilitate this program, okay, so that more people can benefit from Buddha Nusati. So I see you next week. Thank you so much.